Hey, it's Dr. Shantae, and welcome to part 3 of the Unlearning Survival series. This series is all about how we come out of survival mode. That is so critical. It is so important because when you are in survival mode, you are navigating the largest parts of your life from a place of survival, whether it's emotional survival, financial survival, psychological survival, which means you are in a romantic relationship from a place of survival. You are parenting your kids from a place of survival. You are showing up at work from a place of survival. And we want to chart a course out of that type of mindset and out of that type of living. So, in part 3 of our series, we are talking about lies that trauma has taught us. We have already addressed 2 big lies earlier in the series, and today we are talking about the lie of not being enough. If you have ever felt like no matter what you do, no matter what you give, no matter what you achieve, it's just not enough to be worthy, to be valued, to be respected, to be honored, and you feel like everything that you do for other people is conditional and transactional, then this episode is for you because we are destroying that lie today. Keep watching. So the lie of enoughness is rooted in preconditions. It is when we attach conditions to the dynamic of being loved and valued and worthy. And this starts way before we can even truly name it. It usually starts in childhood, and it happens when you are only praised when you excel, like, oh, you got those good grades, or hey, you hit the winning home run for the team. And it makes you feel like love has to be earned instead of just given because of who you are, and that it's predicated based on what you do. And then when you layer on top of that the comparisons that we start to make from a very young age, and we start to disqualify ourselves by saying things like, oh, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not cool enough, I'm not rich enough, I'm not lovable enough, I'm not something enough in order to be embraced, in order to be loved, in order to be worthy, in order to be accepted in this group, in order to belong to this community. I'm not something enough. And we disqualify ourselves based on the way we see others getting treated. And we start to say, well, if I'm not getting treated like that, then I must not be enough. And all of this is reflective of a survival tactic that we use in order to navigate trauma, in order to navigate relationships, in order to survive in our families and in our communities. And so as a result, what do? We start overachieving, we start overdoing, we start overperforming, we start changing our appearance because we're not enough. We start making little tweaks. And let me be clear, I'm not shading anybody who goes to cosmetic surgeons or gets any sort of treatment that makes them feel good about themselves. I always question where it comes from, though, because if it's coming from a place of I'm not enough, that's when it's unhealthy, that's when it's problematic, that's when it's indicative of being rooted in trauma. So if you're telling yourself things like, well, unless I get these facial injections, I'm not going to be able to compete on the market in the dating scene, or my husband will not love me, or I got to compete with these younger girls, so I got to do these things in order to be enough. When it's coming from that type of place, that's when it becomes unhealthy. That's when it becomes toxic. That's when it becomes a system of preconditions and things that you have to do in order to earn and achieve love and acceptance and belonging. So how does this show up in real life? The lie of I'm not enough doesn't just live in our heads, it shows up in how we live because we start trying to prove ourselves by doing certain things and jumping through certain hoops. For example, I have had clients who wanted to prove how good of a wife they could be. And so they started doing wife-like things before there was even any sort of commitment, any sort of ring on the finger, even any sort of promise of a future. Look how well I can clean the house. Look how good of a meal I can cook for you. Look how nice of a trip I can take you on. Look how wonderful company. Look how good gifts I buy. It's all of this auditioning, okay, and performing and overdoing and overbuying in order to prove your worthiness. And so anytime you find yourself trying to hustle for worthiness, trying to hustle for acknowledgement, trying to hustle for praise and a pat on the head or a pat on the shoulder or a gold star, that is a red flag. That is an indicator that you are not operating from a place of enoughness and self-love and abundance and confidence in who you are. It is a red flag that you are operating from a place of insecurity, a place of lack. And the thing is, people know it. People can smell it. When you start overdoing and overperforming and turning into what some people would call a pick-me. I don't love that term. I do not love that term. I understand that term, but I do not love that term. Where it's like, oh, look what I can do. Look how good I am. Oh, pick me, pick me. Anytime you find yourself doing that, that is an indicator that you are not confident in who you are as is. And a lot of times we disqualify ourselves from love, acceptance, and belonging because we say, oh, I'm too old. I got a belly. I'm too dark. I got these kids. Oh, well, see, I've been divorced before. Or I don't make six figures. It's like we will put so many preconditions on being loved, on being accepted, on belonging. And we have to get out of that. As long as you continue to tell yourself that lie, you are perpetuating, okay? You are perpetuating a cycle of dysfunction. And I want to give you some tips about how you come out of that. So one of the ways that you come out of this lie of believing that you are not enough is that you first have to examine and interrogate where did this start? Where did this originate? And a lot of times this starts with the people who raised us, with the people who were our caregivers or our parents, because you would be surprised how many people parent from their own places of lack, from their own shortcomings, from their own insecurities, from their own projection of their unhealed wounds onto their children. And I understand that there might be some guilt associated with that because it's like, hey, you talking about my mama. Yes, and regardless of your mom or dad's reasons for showing up the way that they did, it has still left you with the reality of the consequences. It has still left you feeling inadequate. It has still left you with insecurities. It has still left you feeling like you have to overdo and overgive and overachieve. In fact, one of the telltale signs of trauma, because, and I'm going to say this as a Black woman, because Black women are notorious overachievers. We've got all these degrees and we've got all these credentials. And a lot of time that is a trauma response to prove our value and our worthiness and to say, see, I was worthy of love. Look how much I've achieved. Look how much I've done. Look what I can do. Look at these status symbols and these things on the wall that I can show you that show that are the proof that I was worthy all along. And because I have been guilty of that. One of the reasons why I am a overachiever or have been throughout my life is because of parental neglect. And so it was me trying to say, see, I was worthy of your attention. See, I was worthy of your care and consideration, but it wasn't up for me to prove. It was for my parents to do the work on themselves. It was for my parents to show up and be better versions of themselves. And so even when you are overdoing and overachieving and achieving all these wonderful things, there's nothing wrong with achievement, but you always have to come back and question, where is this coming from? What is really driving me? And let's be honest, being in school, pursuing degrees and credentials and building businesses and all the things can also be a welcome distraction from having to sit with these things and sift it to the bottom, because sifting it to the bottom is uncomfortable work. Sifting it to the bottom and getting to the truth is uncomfortable work, but it's also necessary work, because remember, the whole point of this series is about coming out of survival. The whole point of the series is about coming away from the lies and replacing those lies with the truth. And the truth is, you were always worthy. Period. Full stop. You were always enough. Period. Full stop. And just because you may not have been enough for a certain person, or you may not have been enough for a group of people, it doesn't mean that you were not enough intrinsically, holistically, period. And I understand the pain of rejection. I understand the pain of neglect. I understand the pain of preconditions and feeling like unless you do certain things or unless you jump through certain hoops, then the love is just not going to be there. But you have the power to disrupt that and say, that's your problem, not my problem. If you can't love me as I am, if I have to tap dance and perform and give every dollar out of my pocket just to get some semblance, some modicum of love, acceptance, and belonging from you, then maybe this is not the kind of love that I want in my life. And that is painful. That is painful. But I always tell people, it's also painful to feel like you have to perform for love. So it's one of those things where you have to choose your hard. Are you going to choose the pain that hurts you and exacerbates the cycle? Or are you going to choose the pain that heals you and liberates you from the cycle? So I always have questions for reflection. So this is where you grab your journal or your notebook, or you can take notes on your iPad or tablet or what have you, whatever makes you comfortable. But I have a couple of questions for you so that you can kind of reflect and start to dig into this process. So question one, who in your life have you taught that you have to perform for love? Meaning, we teach people how to treat us, and we set the standard for how we will be treated. So at any point, did you immediately overdo? Did you immediately overgive? Did you immediately start performing and auditioning, which teaches that person, oh, I don't even have to do anything because this person is going to do all the work. This person is going to do all the heavy lifting. So who have you taught to treat you like that? That's number one. Number two, where did you learn that you had to earn love? Where did you learn that you had to earn love? That it wasn't just going to be given to you, that it wasn't going to be no matter what, that they weren't going to be right by your side through the thick and the thin. Where did you learn that it was conditional? So where did you learn that you have to earn love? And then question number three, what would your life look like? How would it feel to be valued and loved when you're not achieving? What would it look like? How would it feel to be loved when you're not achieving something, when you're not doing something, when you're not doing somebody a favor or babysitting their kids or giving them some money or picking up the prescriptions or picking them up from the airport? Like how would it feel? What would that look like to be valued and loved when you're not performing? So I want to leave you with this. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are enough. You have to stop carrying a lie that was never yours to carry. You are carrying somebody else's baggage. You are carrying somebody else's understanding of what love is supposed to be, and it doesn't have to be yours. So that is part 3. We are going to part 4. In our next episode, we are going to be talking about another lie that trauma has taught us, another lie that keeps us in survival mode, and that is, I can't trust myself. Because baby, believe me, when you have been through some things with some people, you start to question yourself. And can I really make healthy decisions about a romantic partner? Can I really make good decisions about my career? Am I really making good decisions in parenting? When you don't trust yourself and you don't trust your intuition and you feel like you are out of tune with it, that is very often a consequence of trauma. And so we are going to unpack that lie in part 4 of our Unlearning Survival series. If you guys have questions, comments, please hop into the comments and share your thoughts. I would love to read them and respond to them, and I will see you next time.